Welcome to the Rebel Rose Show.
How many tulips is too many tulips?
We're talking with people making money off the beaten path. Let's kick it over to Madeline, who's got some drinks for us.
Tequila, gin.
Oh, and I'm getting paid for this too? Dope.
Every shoot's almost Fyre Fest, right? We're a picture of a sandwich away from just being canceled. Every shoot. Cheers. All right. What's up, Elaine?
What's up, Pete? I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Elaine Del Valle, you are director, writer, actress, entrepreneur, all-around great person. Really excited to have you on because you are one of the inspirations for this podcast, believe it or not.
Really?
Yes.
Now I'm intrigued. Now I
Well,
have to
you know what?
more.
I've watched your evolution from, 6 years ago, and you were this talented actress who also ran a casting agency that we used, and I've watched you evolve into this incredible filmmaker. You just directed your first feature. You're in the process of doing that. You have so many nuggets of wisdom that you pass along to me over the years, and you inspire me every day. So I was like, you know what? I feel like Elaine and some of these other people that I know are really important people to hear their story. So I was
Thank you so much.
I have this studio. Let's talk about it.
Maybe that's really why I'm here.
Yeah. Well, I also want to sell the studio. Oh, available for rent.
Yes.
No, but you honestly were a big inspiration for this, and I'm glad to have you on. You know.
That's so sweet. I'm really flattered by that and humbled by it.
Well, I love working with you, and you were always telling me all these ideas that you were working on, and you just went to South by Southwest. What was that experience like?
It was like this. It was a dream come true. Ever since I first heard of South by Southwest, which I heard of it when I read Lena Dunham's story and how it really catapulted her career. And so as a female filmmaker, I thought, wow, if I could just get there, I feel like something might really kick off from there. And so it was always a goal. A lot of filmmakers have goals on this festival, that festival, and everybody, that still holds true because we want to be recognized. And places like South by Southwest, the esteem that it brings to your career is something like you just say the name and people are like, wow, her film was at South by.
Yeah.
And then, so being there was definitely an honor. It was a whirlwind experience because it's not just a regular film festival. It's actually a film festival, a music festival, and a comedy festival. There are so many things to do there, and the town is spread out.
Oh, Austin's
and so
amazing.
It's so beautiful, and there was just so much to do.
Yeah.
And my whole team came with me practically. I had my lead actress, Summer Rose Castillo. I had Karina Ortiz, who plays the mom. Javier Munoz, who everyone knows as starring in Hamilton as Hamilton, right after Lin-Manuel. He plays the dad in Brownsville Bred, so he came. My cinematographer, Dustin Ward. 3 of my producers were there with me.
So it was a party.
It was a party, yes.
What was it like to kind of see this 10-year journey or 12-year journey or however long it's been manifest itself on that stage with all those people that you made it with?
Well, because it premiered twice, I had a chance to have that experience twice, right? I mean, it premiered once, but then showed again. So the first time I was in the line of all the people that came with us.
Yeah.
And pretty close to the front where they reserve all the seats for the filmmakers. So the first time, it was just I was focused on their reaction and hoping that I made them proud. And I was glad that I did.
And then you saw the euphoria on their face because it's amazing.
Well, the mom, the daughter, and the little girl who played the lead, Summer Rose Castillo, and her 2 parents actually exited the theater after we screened because they couldn't stop crying.
That's got to feel good.
It's great, but it's also the joy that they were the parents of the child, right? And that they were also on this journey. But also the second time watching it was, I think, even better because I sat way in the back, the last row, and next to perfect strangers. And the woman to my right who had, we couldn't have been more different. She had short purple hair. I don't know where she was from, but she just sat there bawling. And she had to take off her glasses and and I was like, yes, that's so good. And then they laughed at the right moments too. So
it's all about that
knowing
connection
that I impacted that person and brought some sort of empathy to the journey that is Brownsville Bred was really terrific. And I no longer think of it as like my story, because the story has manifested so much bigger than who I am. It's just through that protagonist that we take this journey that really reveals the pitfalls of generational poverty, and that's what I want to reveal to people, because it's so real, and people need to see how people can get like caught up in things.
Yeah, it's a very important film, and at a very good time to put it out there. So. Congrats.
Thank you.
We're bearing the lead a little bit because you won the audience award, which is huge.
Yes.
I'd like to pull up Brownsville Bred and watch this amazing trailer and share it with everyone. But before we do that, let's kick it over to Madeline. Madeline, what are we drinking today with our amazing friend Elaine here?
Well, today we have a Puerto Rican sangria that has some rosé, some rum, a little sugar, some orange, mint, and lime juice.
Ooh.
I think you're going to love it.
Yowza.
Was that being poured in Brownsville or no? No Puerto Rican sangria?
No, we make coquito on the holidays. And we weren't really drinkers in my family ever. Like, ever.
This feels like a Miami cocktail. So we wanted to
Yes.
we wanted to give you that other side of Elaine. There's the New York side and there's the Miami side. So we'll bring a little
Sense of home.
Bring a little bit of Miami.
There's no
up
real
here.
fruit in the Puerto Rican diet in Brownsville. Let's be
Okay,
clear.
all right. I mean, I listed off all the things that you have done. You've had a very robust career. How the hell do you have time for everything? Like, why are you here right now? You probably have a zillion things you got going on.
Oh, first of all, you're so important to me.
Oh well,
Really. Like,
I'm fishing right now, so
I mean,
keep it coming.
no, it's true. And I always say it because you, Pete, gave me the opportunity to start directing commercials. It was the first time that I was ever paid as a director.
Is that true?
Yes, that's true. And I was casting for you for years. And then somehow you saw my social media trailer of my film, Me 3.769. And then you said, I saw your thing. I didn't know that you direct. And I said, yes, that's what I want to be doing, Pete. That's my passion. And then within, you asked me to see the film. I sent you the film. And within 1 month, I think it was less than that. I think it was like 2 weeks or less even. You gave me the opportunity to direct for Caesar's brand dog food called Latin Bilingual Love.
Yes,
And I
there was
love that commercial.
Everyday something. I can't remember.
It was, I can't remember either, but ours was
Great
like
spot.
bilingual. Our first one was Bilingual Love. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but within a week or so, I had given you all of my prep. So my shots, what I wanted the story to look like, everything, and then you reached out to me, and you actually it was Brooke, your producer, reached out to me and said, Pete's really busy right now, and maybe you also want to do the English version.
Oh, right.
So then I ended up directing Spanish bilingual version as well as the all-American English version, which means so much to me because as a Latina director, very often, or as a Latina anything, casting director, actor, whatever it is, you're very often sought out to represent that and do that when I just want to direct anything, right? And it's a people thing and I want to direct it. And so being able to direct not just the bilingual one, but then also the American one, which I also love. It was Everyday Something as well. Every day. I can't remember. Roll clip.
Everyday Celebrations, I think it was called. Something like that.
Reunions.
Everyday
reunions.
Yes. It's coming home to the dog.
Yes. So the girl was coming home to the dog. And it felt so good because it felt like my work had actually gotten me the All-American one as well.
Yeah.
And so that meant so much to me as a director. And I love those spots. And I've been directing for you ever since.
Well, I will say that before even the film came out, I knew that you had that in you because I remember when we were casting, we did a Citibank commercial with the Mets, with Jim Brewer and things like that. And we needed comedians. So I went to you because you've cast things for us for years. But I remember in that live audition, you gave a lot of direction to the potential actors. And I remember being like, oh, I really like the way you were communicating. Like the way you gave direction is different than how I would do it. And I learned from it, actually. And I was like, oh, I like her approach. Like, this is that actor to actor communication that I feel like most directors probably need. Like, you probably should audit an acting class to learn that language.
It's much more than auditing.
Right, yeah. Partake.
They do say that, like, you have to audit and be a part of acting classes. But for me, I studied acting for years.
Yeah.
Many, many years. I studied 3 years at Carnegie Hall under Win Handman. I studied at Michael Howard Studios before that. I also studied improv for many years at UCB as well as the Pit. So I speak actor language. I'm not afraid of actor language. I'm not afraid to communicate with them. And I know what it's like to be them. And I know what I want as an actor. So I try to be that for every actor that I encounter. And I know that they want to have the best performance ever.
I mean, I noticed that you connected with, I mean, it's a gauntlet to go through a casting like that all day. I don't think people realize that it's like an exhausting process. And you like forget even while you're there halfway through it. It's like you're hearing the same things over and over. But the way you connected with people and seeing them take direction, and I was like, definitely knew you had the chops then.
Thank
and then
you.
on that Caesar shoot, I remember it was like with the previs and this and that. I was like, oh, she's got it down.
I had to be prepared.
She is prepared. It was a dog, a child, like everything you're not supposed to do. That project was.
I know that was
With
crazy.
a Westminster dog that.
It was a Westie. It was a Westie.
Yes, it was a
the dog.
Westie, but it was
Yes.
like a champ. It was a Westminster champ.
Yes, but they overfed that dog.
We overfed the dog. Peter.
It was the trainers.
It was our first time. It was the trainer's
The
fault.
trainers kept giving the dog food. Stop giving the dog so much food. He's got to eat.
Dog's like, what is this? Yeah, we carbo loaded that day. All right, Matt.
you like your
I think
drinks?
We got drink time coming up.
Yes, let's do it.
Those drinks are ready. So let's, Zux, pull up Brownsville Bred. Let's bask in the glory of this. I absolutely love this trailer. It got me so pumped when I saw it. God, that had to be good to put that Laurel on there, huh?
Yes.
On Sutter Avenue, between Rockaway and Mother Gaston.
I love the way
Brownsville,
that it
Brooklyn,
scratches
New
in
York.
also.
Oh, yeah.
The Langston Hughes projects
I love
are
this
the
shot.
3 tallest buildings in
I should have gone with deep focus as well on that.
That's Poppy. We're just alike.
You're critiquing, you're giving notes to the film while you're watching it. Let it go. You just won.
And the Puerto Rican flag.
Elaine.
How accurate is this to how your house looked?
Exactly.
Exactly?
Yeah, if you go on my Instagram, you can actually see my home as a child, and my dad had this huge Puerto Rican flag on the wall, and it was the most embarrassing thing ever.
It was embarrassing to you.
Embarrassing.
Got something for me?
You'll have it by tomorrow. Come on, man. My kid is here.
Was it tough to make it a period piece?
Very hard. We worked with the camera angled up most of the time, and that is why we chose shallow focus as well in case.
Manuel Del Valle here.
Dustin Ward is the name of the DP?
Dustin Ward
He
is
did
my
a great
DP.
job.
He worked with me on Princess Cut as well. I found him at a festival. He had a film that
What do we shoot on here?
what's that?
What camera are we shooting
The
with here?
Sony Venice with
Ooh.
K35 lenses.
Why are you here? I told you to go away. Go
Look at
find
this
another
performance.
family. My
She's
She's amazing.
stunning. Oh my
But now
gosh.
you broke it.
And you know what I love when I was watching the original play that you put on, the similarities that she does kind of capture, like even when you play your little self,
Yeah.
she captured a lot of that. It was,
Well, that's what was important to it, right? Is like
and look at
speaking.
this poster.
Oh yes. There's a whole story with the poster.
Poster
also.
is cool.
Yes.
That had to be the attention grabber at the festival, that poster.
Well, we were in competition, and of all of the posters that were in competition, I felt like it's hands down this poster is the best poster. And then we didn't win. So I felt so robbed because the artist is such a genius.
didn't win for
we
best
didn't
poster?
win best poster.
Stop.
I was like, this is
Look at
just
that.
highway robbery.
Look at that fucking thing.
Yes, it's hand painted by a famous artist who is, sells at Sotheby's. He's in museums. He's at Art Basel. Tim Okumura.
Well, now you got to put festival winner. You got to recut that trailer.
Yes, and now I have to put audience award winner. Yes,
So cheers, Elaine.
Cheers to that.
Woo!
Any notes?
We're going to the beach after this.
That's very good.
It's very good.
Just like the Sangria and Brownsville.
So the interesting
That was the goal.
the interesting thing about this film is that besides the fact that it's a personal story to you, but is a long journey from the inception. When did you even get the idea of telling this story? And was it always meant for the big screen in your mind?
Wow. So as an actor, I felt very misunderstood by casting directors, by anyone who had the opportunity to give me an audition, and they wouldn't because they felt that my physical self did not represent the characters that were in places like Brownsville that they were casting. So I was a commercial darling. I was in all the commercials, Spanish language commercials, everything that spoke to a beautiful, perfect life as a Latina. And that's what I was representing. And so I loved financially where I was as an actor, but I didn't feel that I was being seen or given the opportunity to be who I could be best, which is me. And so when I started studying at Win Handman, I remember when I auditioned for him with a monologue that I had written from a TV show that I had written called The Garcia Party. And he said to me, "Where did you get that monologue?" And I said, "I wrote it." And he said, "Well, young lady, you will never be," back then I was young. He said, "Young lady, you will never, ever be doing your own material in this class. So as long as you're okay with this, I will let you enter the class."
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, fine. So now fast forward 3 years later, and I love all the work, the assignments that Win gave me, and working with the professional actors that were in the scene study class. And it was a tremendous time in my life because it was all about the work, and getting there. And so we would watch the work get there in our own process, as well as in the process of the other actors working on other things. Mm-hmm. And Win takes hiatus every summer. May he rest in peace, he just passed away. But he would take hiatus every summer. And because we were working so hard, so diligently, and with so much passion, we all felt so empty by the fact that the class wasn't happening and this work was not taking place.
Right.
And so after the third year, I started a writers group from my apartment in Manhattan. We all got together, all the actors, and we started writing.
From your class?
From my class, from my actors class.
That entrepreneur right there.
And I started writing, and everybody was just writing. And then I would say my thing. And what the questions that they asked me about the material were like, wow, I never thought about that. But this is really helpful to understand that you didn't understand this when it's so apparent to me what it means.
Example, this was not in the play, not in the movie, not in anything. Yeah, just...
Example, there was something that I wrote about me being in an elevator and holding up a dollar bill. And I would hold it up to my mouth, and it's a true story. I would hold it up. And they said to me, "Why? What's the purpose of that? What's the significance?" And I said, "Because I had $1.
Right.
Do you understand what it was
Yeah.
like to have $1 for me? Because we were so poor. You couldn't hold up food stamps.
Right.
Because that was embarrassing. It was shameful. So to have $1 bill was such a huge deal. And it was interesting to me that they didn't get that.
My
And
mind
so-
went to be like, that dollar's filthy. Get it away from your mouth.
Kaksaki.
You don't want that.
Well, anyway, so I just kept on writing. And then when Win came back, we all, because he didn't have the opportunity to assign material, we all just started doing our own material.
He just said, don't do your own material. And you started a coup.
Well, he didn't just say
You
it.
had
He
a
said
coup
it
where the
3
whole
years
class
ago.
ran their own material.
Well, here's
It's a
the
rebellion.
thing. Wynn was very well known for having helped John Leguizamo, Lemon Anderson, Sarah Jones, all of these people who did amazing one-person shows. So people would come to his class thinking that that was going to be their outcome. That was never what I thought. It was just the only material that I had at the time that I responded to. And so so I said, Wynn, I'm going to put something on its feet. It's just for this week. I've been working on it. And after I was done, he said, Elaine, you must keep writing this. You must keep writing this. And that was all I needed.
Was that the birth of Brownsville Bred right there? That scene?
That was the first scene, the way that it plays on the stage and the way that it plays in the movie, kind
was
of.
from
because
that class. Wow.
just like that. And then he told me, do it again. And then he stopped me. And then he said, what was that thing that you did during your father's thing? And I was like, alelo, lelo, because my father was a singer, right? Yeah. So he said, start like that. So I started like that. And that an earlier iteration was me starting like that off stage. And then the lights would come on. And then I would bounce out as this child. And I would always start with creating the visual for the audience. 301 Sutter Avenue between Rockaway and Mother Gaston, Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. The Langston Hughes projects are the 3 tallest buildings in all of East New York. And then I would say that and really like build a story. And that's how I started the film. Because it's such a great vibe.
Well, also got that do the right thing kind of vibe to it.
A lot of people tell me that. A lot of people tell me it's like early Spike Lee. And I'm
You
like,
got
oh, okay.
it's got like, it's a little bit of like Bronx Tale and meets Do the Right Thing, but it with its own unique spin to it. So
Yeah, I didn't really I hadn't really seen those films, so I wasn't referencing them at all. For my color story, I referenced We the Animals, which I loved out of Sundance last year, or the year before last, and I just very much tried to angle up all the time, just because we had to avoid modern day living. Because I was trying
that's
to.
the reason
That's
why.
the reason why. Yes, that is the reason
not
why.
easy. It's like doing a first thing is with a dog commercial. Now we're doing period piece for the first film.
Well, I wanted also for her to feel as large as the buildings
does.
at first, and then for her to feel very small in relation to them as she's entering.
It's a powerful shot. I remember when I first saw it, the trailer, it definitely was an image that grabbed you right away. And I was like, wow, what is this? What did she just do here? This is amazing.
Well, what's interesting about that is that people think that it's a story about a girl talking to camera, but the girl is actually not even talking to camera, which, when you see the film, you realize that she hops down and after this soliloquy that she gives, and it's really like she's practicing for something. And then she asks her aunt, that's what I got so far. What do you think? Yeah. And I thought that was such a great way to incorporate the one-woman show and all the many people who have seen and supported the work, and bring it into the world of Brownsville. It was like the perfect way.
Wow. And so you write this scene in Wynn's class.
Yes.
How long does it take before you are like, I'm putting this on a stage and I'm doing a play?
3 months.
3 months.
3 months. All he needed to say to me was, you must keep doing that. And then every single week, I came in with a brand new scene, and I literally did it in order. I would wake up in the middle of the night writing and remembering things that I wanted to say, and I just basically followed the milestones that made me who I am, made my thought process what it is. And that's what I did. And I was finished in under 3 months. And then I just started putting it into festivals, all theater festivals. And then it was winning theater festivals, all the theater festivals, every category. Putting it out there in a theater stage with all of these strangers
By yourself.
by myself.
Right.
Yes. That was really very scary, but even scarier was doing it for the people that knew me.
Right.
Because those people that knew me, I always used to say this, the people that knew me came to me after the show and would say, I feel like I've never known you. And the people who never knew me said, I feel like you're my best friend.
It's funny how that works.
Yes. So it was really special. And, at the heart of the story, it's just a girl trying to fit in and coming to terms with her dad, who was her hero, who disappointed her in ways that she did not know how to deal with, and the healing process that comes with that, and the love and the joy and the salsa and the rap and really letting people into the urban side of me, which throughout my career was something that was just, that can't happen because she looks like that.
Right. Because you have such a presence on camera and you're a beautiful woman, that they just assume you get typecast into these roles of perfection
and also the color of my skin, right? So
Right.
like even beautiful women that were Latina who were a little darker were getting these opportunities where I wasn't. So they were looking to cast the people who are on the other side of the economic spectrum, on the low side, as people who were darker instead of people who are like whatever. So I saw the wrong of that.
Right.
I mean, I know the wrong of that.
And then you
for
grew
so
up in
long.
Brownsville.
Yeah, really what I want to do is reveal all of the pitfalls of generational poverty so that people can be enlightened by the experience and understand a bit better the things that can happen. I mean, a lot of these, obviously, things happened to me, but I was able to move forward past them. And it's really about attitude and how you decide to look at things. And look for the silver lining in things, not to just gloss over everything.
Right.
But it's a matter of surviving it mentally, that you have to laugh about it, that you have to be able to look at it differently, that you have to be able to appreciate 100% of life and every single day of it.
So it's not like you grew up thinking I have to tell this story. This kind of just organically happened on its own, and you got that right encouragement from Win to like take that leap, and
That's
you
right.
went all in.
Yeah, and I think that people from places like Brownsville and underserved communities, they don't often have that push to say you can do this. And then the minute that you do hear that, you feel that you can.
Yeah.
And that's what people need. They need to know, to see, to hear, and be encouraged that they can be successful at something that they wouldn't have ever even tried.
Right.
And so that has really been something that's really important to me to express that to others when I see something in others. Usually it's an actor that I see because I see so many actors. And when I see something really special, I just take my time to make sure that they know that I see it and that they need to take this really seriously because we need them. This
Right.
industry really, really needs that talent. And they are the perfect person to represent in ways that other people just don't have that natural raw talent. And then I also encourage them to keep studying
Right.
because sometimes they have the natural raw talent, but they don't have the craft.
Right.
And you need to have both.
You can always get better at things, right? This is not like
yeah.
there's occasionally you're Leonardo DiCaprio and you just pop out the womb in the A-list. But for most, it's a craft. It's just like whether you're a basketball player or whether you're a painter.
So is directing.
Right.
I really take, people say, you do it all. I'm going to do it all. Well, guess what? I spent years learning and I continue to learn. It's one of my big things is like, I will learn. I want to learn. I want to learn. In this day and age, there's no reason not to be able to learn because you have the internet at your disposal. You can learn, you can look up anything, how to make a sangria from Puerto Rico.
Exactly. Look.
Learn
Madeline,
new
have
things
you
every
spent
day.
much time in Puerto Rico?
I've never been, unfortunately.
She's well traveled, but not Puerto Rico. But
Not well
You need
traveled
to
enough.
change that.
I know.
Brownsville Bred moving forward.
we
is
want to go with
actually
you.
going to-
If I'm going to Puerto Rico, I'm going with you.
It's going to, we have scenes in Puerto Rico.
That's also another fascinating thing. I mean, I don't want to. I still want to talk about the play a little bit, but
Okay.
well, let's go to that first. Zucks, pull up this one woman play. And so, was your goal for this to showcase your acting
Initially.
when you were like, I'm going to put this on stage?
Initially, it was so that people can see what I'm made of. Not necessarily my acting. Of course, my acting, yes, but also to understand me
Yeah.
and not just paint me white,
Right.
which was what I felt was happening. They were painting me wealthy all the time and only giving me those opportunities when I felt like the good work was actually the other work that had a lot more grit to it, which I had in my core.
Right.
But they weren't letting me express externally. Wynn said the most wonderful thing to me. And he said, Elaine, why are you telling this story? Again, this is the first time that I put it on its feet. And I, not even like moments went by, like I just said, because it's a great story. And he said, then tell it that way. And
Interesting.
then, you know, because at first, when I first put it on its feet, I was like, 301 Sutter Avenue, between Rockaway and Mother Gaston, because I wanted people to see that.
Yeah.
This tough kid that, you know, and he said, then tell it that way. And I was like, 301 Sutter Avenue. And then it became something else. And then, you know, I just kept writing it from there. So it became a lot bigger. And it was really also an homage to my dad
Right.
and all of the talent that exists in places like Brownsville that can go down the drain if you make bad moves.
Yeah.
So it was all of that. It really, I don't know. I just loved the story, and I had lots of people coming up to me and like saying, that happened to me. I never told anyone
Wow.
like that. And those were like people who had very different lives from me
Right.
growing up, but they were able to find the human connection.
Yeah.
And then, you know, through the indomitable power of the human spirit, they just fell in love with all of the characters.
You put on this play, and it gets great. I mean, I saw the reviews. It gets great reviews. What did you think was going to come from it? Were there any offers to do anything with it at the time?
Nah, no.
No, really.
No, there was. Well, I just kept doing it. Wynn told me, just keep doing it. Just keep doing it. And he actually sent someone, the artistic director of the Schoolhouse Theater in Westchester, to see the play. And then she had me open the season at the Schoolhouse Theater in Westchester. And then I went on to, they are allowed through a LOA contract once a year to bring one play off Broadway official. And they chose for the first time an original work. It was Brownsville Bred.
Wow.
And we went off Broadway and we had, yeah, I mean, sold out
Is
audiences.
that this theater right here?
No, this was a black box theater that was,
That you rented yourself?
no. So I started out doing the festival circuit.
Okay.
So this was actually part of the festival circuit. This was the first festival that I had done was all like any plays, like as many people could be in a play as possible. And I won that one in every category. And then the next play festival that I did was actually only one person shows. So I was like, oh, everybody's, they were only impressed because I did all these characters as being one person. That's why I won. But then when I got to this festival, it was only one person shows, and I won that as well.
So how did this impact your career at all?
How did this
In the short term?
crazy in that it led me to you, Pete.
Shut up.
Yes, it did. And here's why. So I was, like I said earlier, like my bread and butter was commercials, on-camera commercials as an actor. And so I invited everyone to see my play because if you knew me, you were getting an invitation. I was talking your ear off. Please come see me. It's only $10. I'll pay for your ticket. Like, just come see it. And so so I did this with everyone. And my main group was a group of producers and people that I knew from making commercials. And this one producer from a Spanish language ad agency came to the show, couldn't believe what he saw, said, I want to work with you every single day, but I cannot hire an actor every single day. So what else do you do? And I just said, what do you need? He said, do you do casting?
Like, sure.
I said, I have been in every casting director's office in New York, all of the commercials, certainly, all the Spanish language commercials, certainly. And I think I can create a better experience because mine is not always a great one. And let me try. But anyway, it did lead me to you because I became a casting director because of that. And because of the fact that I'm one of only a very few casting directors in New York that speak the Spanish language. You first came at me for a commercial for, I remember what it was. It never actually happened. It was for Kellogg's. It was for Kellogg's. And it was a, well, I wouldn't forget. Right, but it was for Kellogg's, and it was.
I didn't even do that commercial. I gave it to somebody else.
I know you didn't. It was a lot of family members.
So that's 2014 we're talking about.
Dude, it required so much language.
It's August of 2014.
It was so difficult to cast that. 6-year-old that could do like a page of dialogue. I'll be fine. I can do it.
Wow, that was the first one. That's crazy.
That was the first one, and you never did it. But then we ended up, working together again. So, and again and again and again
and again and again and again.
And still today.
Thank God for Kellogg's.
No, thank God for Rebel Road. Thank God for the ad agency producer who decided that he would take a chance on me because he felt that success was transferable and that I could be successful at whatever it was that I took on based on what he saw was the play.
And so you have this play of great success. Then it opens the door for you to run this successful casting agency. Are you jonesing to make this a film?
So I'll never forget, Sundance wanted to give people an opportunity. And the executive director at the time, Daniel Gallant, reached out to me and he said, Elaine, yours is the most amazing play and you should write it as a screenplay. And he said, you have 12 days.
12 days?
Yeah. So I vomit out the very worst possible script, first iteration of Brownsville Bred. And I'm sure I have it somewhere. And then I started taking classes through the Sundance Institute, which I took classes for years. And I learned so much about what a screenplay really needs, as I did what an episodic really needs. I took all their classes that I can take. And I learned so much. And I learned most of all to forget about the truth and follow the emotional truth and the action of the truth. And so that's how the story was really able to become the screenplay that it is today, that I'm very proud of, and I can't wait to resume making, because all we shot was through a grant that was donated by 150 Foundation, as well as some funds that I raised through fiscal sponsorship and put some of my own money in. All we shot was the first act of the screenplay, taking full advantage of the coming of age genre, thinking about how Linklater did Boyhood, which is over a course of years, knowing that I can only afford this act. And also, having had recently sold a pilot to CBS, I understood that I could write it as an episodic should I want to.
Right.
I can do that. I understand the process. And so I would also be parlaying the fact that I just sold something to CBS on the festival market when I put it into this, what I feel is the most exciting category in the festival market today, is the episodic pilot category.
Well, that's really where the zeitgeist right now is like, it almost feels like shows are which is
so
crazy, because when we were growing
awesome.
up, that was not the case, right? TV was the stepsister.
Well, when I was growing up, TV was all we had, the channels that would come in because we couldn't afford to go to the movies. Right. We had to wait for the $1 movie.
Right.
And everything was old.
So you went from one-woman play to screenplay, then you went to novella. Why that step? Because I know there's a lot of people out there with a screenplay. Why did you take the step of creating the novella?
Why?
No, because it's interesting, right?
No,
There's
it's
a lot
a great
of people
step.
out there
It's a great step.
It's a move most people wouldn't do.
It's a long and short story. the long ago story was that when someone first saw my play that was a book packager, they came to me and they wanted to make it into a book. And they loved it. And I wrote all these sample chapters. And they loved the sample chapters. And the people that they brought it to at some of the major houses, Penguin and Sterling, they loved it. They loved it. They came to see the show. They loved the sample chapters. They loved everything about it. End of the day, they couldn't sell it to the higher ups because the story was too dark. Was too dark.
What kind of shit is that?
Well, whatever it was what it was. Fast forward years later, I'm at a festival with Princess Cut. No, with me 3.769. I won the Vanguard Award that year. And there were 2 writers, professional Latino writers, writing on shows. I think now they write for Power, and I think they just got their own show on HBO that has to do with Bronx and vampires, which is so cool.
Nice.
Carlito Machete and his wife, Leah Benavides. I probably just butchered her name, but something like that. Great people. We're giving a panel at a festival. And I said, what is the one thing that you feel like can sell a show more than anything else? And he said, IP.
IP.
Intellectual property.
So that's why you did the book.
And then he said, he gave an example. He said, like, one day I wrote a story about aliens. Now, of course, I couldn't say, here are the aliens that I'm writing about. So I hired a graphic artist and I wrote a graphic novel and I self-published it. And when I went to go pitch the show, I just said, stories based on this graphic novel, sold.
Wow.
And when he said that, I thought, I already have all these chapters.
Right.
I know that they're really good. And all I need to do is finish it. And I decided that I was going to finish it right then and there. And I did. And I published it in 2020. And last year, in 2021, we became one of the International Latino Book Awards' most inspirational young adult book of 2020.
Wow.
And in 2021, I became a keynote speaker for the Board of Education Literacy Day.
Wow.
Yes, in Brooklyn. So,
way to go.
So it was awesome. So like where they said it's too dark, these are materials that I know that like if I were a kid reading that would make me feel like I could be an author.
Yeah. Wow. So I think, so how many screenwriters are out there that are, they just have the screenplay, they pass it off and they wait thinking that like someone's going to, like the decision maker's going to read your screenplays. It's a lot of hurdles to get to even that
It's
point.
just like an actor also.
So I think the business aspect, right? You're like, I need intellectual property. That's something that you're probably not even thinking about when you're writing your screenplay for most people. It's like, oh, this is a much easier story. Here's the source material. I have optioned this novella. We can do this. Like, and it's never been easier to self-publish, right? It's just...
It's still a difficult task.
Yeah, but
it still takes a lot of work and knowledge.
But again, you don't need the gatekeepers like you used to have.
Right.
So you can create this thing to help you take that next step, I think. And then I've seen your pitch deck. I mean, the business modeling that you have done around this is interesting, and I think that's another thing that people need to realize is that like just because your screenplay is great doesn't mean that's all it takes. You have to treat it like it's its own corporation. You need your business plan.
And
like,
even
who is
with
going
the movie,
to watch this?
Even with the movie, I learned so much. I was at Sundance as a producer, and I took those panels, and someone said that before the movie's even made, they're thinking about the poster and they're thinking about the behind the scenes footage and doing character interviews during. So going into Brownsville Bred, I wanted to make sure that I was also giving it its best shot without all those people involved, but knowing how they would approach it so that when the time comes that they are there with me, I don't have to backtrack and say, look at all these materials that we could have had we had you.
Right.
I'm giving them what they said that they needed from the beginning and what, if we were working with them, they would have had.
Right. Like a film is a business and you need to have all those things. Like the studio it's not just there for the art, it's there for the profits, and it has to have a reason to explain why their investment pool is going to give money to you. So
I want to learn all of that. I want to learn all of it. Like of course,
And you think
I'd rather
Sundance
stay.
Institute was huge for you learning all this? Is that a worthwhile path?
It was panels, Sundance Institute, definitely with the writing. Like I took their episodic writing course and I sold a pilot.
Wow.
I never ever took an episodic writing course before. I would just write from the seat of my pants, like I did the play, seat of my pants. I didn't even know that I was writing something with a through line.
Right.
That was raw talent.
Yeah.
And then, or happy accident or whatever you want to call it. But the rest of my career is definitely craft.
Yeah, you can get better at it. You have
So much better. Anybody can get much better at it, but you have to put in the work, and you have to understand psychologically how to work the camera, the actors, the dialogue, the color story, how everything can impact an audience and move forward in one direction toward that greater impact.
Right.
And so those are the things that I learned and that I continue to learn. And yeah, I just want to, hit the better button all the time.
How many people write a screenplay or do a short and like think that like you're going to go to one festival and your life's going to change? There's so much, like projects take years to do.
It does.
Like when you hear this, this movie's 10 years in the making or 15 years in the making, it's like, yeah, that's how fucking long it takes.
That's why I always say to filmmakers or anyone embarking on something like this that you better make sure that you choose wisely, because you have to stay committed throughout. And it's so much work, and it's very easy to say, I don't want to do this work. Let me just go hang out on the beach today. But if it's something that you believe in, if it's something that you feel like is part of your core, you never tire of it.
When you pitch a film, you better sound so passionate about it, because they are going to want to know that this is something that you're like ready to bleed for, and that will not give, like you're the whole engine behind this.
Yeah, because and not just with me, but with anyone, right? Like, because they're not really buying that. They're buying you.
Right.
They're buying you bringing this to life. And so you have to make sure that you really believe in it.
Yeah. It's not, they're going to give support financially. It's not like they're going to do the heavy lift. It's up to you. They want to invest in you. And that's why you have to think of it like you're launching a business. Every film is its own business. And then what goes into raising funds for this?
Oh, Lord.
Because money...
How long we got?
I mean, give me the abbreviated
I'm still
version.
doing it.
Right, exactly. So that's another interesting thing, right? You're doing this in waves.
Yeah.
I'm
ready to go the whole mile. I just don't have the money for it.
The money, right.
Yeah.
So what goes into the pitch deck's obviously the most important thing. What goes into your thinking around that? What are like the comps you're running? What kind of info do people need to get their Brownsville Bred out the gates?
I think that it's hard for me to answer that question, because there are a lot of people who do it way better than I do.
You're kicking ass and taking names, so let's hear how Elaine Del Valle does it.
I mean, you're talking about comps and stuff like that, but everybody's going to put a comp that reminds you of their film. Like in my thing, I might have Moonlight. Right.
But a business comp, right? Like, don't you put that in the deck of like, well, this movie's similar audience to this film, and this film was $10 million and it made $80 million.
Yes, but here's the thing. Truth of the matter is that none of that really matters. What really matters in terms of dollars and numbers is what it was actually made for and what it sold for. Not how much it made at the box office, which is very often confused. And it's great to put those numbers down, because those numbers are real and they can be proven, while these other two numbers are never really divulged.
Right. It's hard to
unless
track
it
that down.
sells at a festival for a disclosed amount. It's never really disclosed, and you have to do so much research.
Is it that this film's $1 million to make the film? It was sold for $5 million. That's the kind of.
That's right.
Not worrying about that it pulled 320 at the box office.
Doesn't matter.
Right, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It's that comp that you need. So say if you have your initial investors, right, from this portion, I'm giving money to Brownsville Bred to go shoot before it has a deal with Warner or Fox or whatever.
Okay.
So if I get points to your film, it's probably not the box office points.
No.
it's that initial
It's
sell
what
to
it
the
sells
studio.
for. Right.
So
And there
how-
are people who do self-distribute, like Jim Cummings. I heard him speak through Sundance Institute as well. He gave a class about self-distribution. It was amazing. I actually have the class recorded, and I have my producers watching that class in case we have to go that route.
You're not gonna go
I don't
that route. I
anticipate
got
that
faith.
route. I actually don't anticipate that route, but his route is actually financially very successful to the investor. So that's not a route that I'm opposed to. It's just I just don't think that we are going to. I believe that we're going to sell at a very good number compared to what we made it for.
Right.
So
So how do you research and get those numbers? Because it's not on IMDb.
no, you really can't. I mean, you can.
You got inside
But at the end of the day, a lot of those numbers are not even available. So you have to project, and you have to say, well, this sold. You can use the numbers like, okay, this sold at Sundance for $5 million. This sold here for $18 million. And in actuality, it may have cost like under $1 million to make it, but then they say it cost $2 million to make it. So the numbers aren't really real, right?
Right.
All you can do is, look, I'm doing the indie film hustle, backward and heels, to a salsa beat. And all I can do is do the very best that I can to make an indie film where I feel everybody's getting paid enough to keep them working on my thing, as opposed to leaving me to work on something else that's going to pay them more, and that they truly believe in the work. And I'm not trying to spend a lot of money on it. I'm trying to do the best that I can, negotiating the best deals that I can.
Yeah.
And for me as a director, I want to continuously try to up my game. And that often says with what material you're working for and how you attract a great cinematographer who can be making more money doing something that's less important to him and to others, is by giving them
Step
the
into my
toys
world.
that they've never had a chance to work with.
Some of that commercial world.
No, but
got you.
I worked with an Ari Alexa for your
right,
for
right.
your
We buy the toys.
Yeah, no, I love those toys.
Yeah. Madeline, did it shock you when you first got into the business of this that how expensive it was?
How expensive, how many people, how many little parts there are. Yes, all of it surprised me.
It's there's so many, especially now that people have these iPhones. Like everyone thinks that like, oh, I had a woman ask me, why is it so much? It's only 30 seconds long. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I also don't think about the editing.
Say we don't pay by the second.
Yeah.
So anyway, I need you in this film.
In Brownsville Bred?
Yes.
No, I'm already in this film.
No,
nobody recognizes
some
me.
like Hitchcock shit. No, I
It's
want.
actually a really important character that not even my husband knew it was me.
Madeline, you think she should be in the film? Like prominently in the film?
I don't know.
If Tarantino puts himself in his own films, you need to put yourself in your own
But
films.
he's not prominently, right?
He gets it's a notable scene though.
No, mine is already a notable scene. But
if they don't know it's you, then shit.
If you don't know it's me, that's actually the best thing, right? I'm just like, I just have my head down like that, but it's really important. It's actually really, really important. And I played it only because I didn't want to have to ask anyone else to play it. So I just played it myself. And I thought that it was quite ironic that and apropos and poetic and beautiful that the young actor that was playing Elaine is looking down in what very well could have been the adult Elaine had she followed a different path.
Right.
Which is this addict on the street with open
track marks.
track
and all that,
marks. Yes.
yeah. Wow. Do you have enough to get stage 2 done right now?
Yes. Even before I won the South by Southwest Audience Award with Brownsville Bred.
Let's go.
Warner Media 150. They told me that they love my execution, what I did, how I did it, and that they wanted to give me another grant toward the continuation of the work. So now coming this summer, fall, I will be working with their grant, continuing the process of fundraising from now until then, and also with one investor, and of course anything else that I can raise. And I try
Now
out for
that you
so many
have-
things.
You have awards at major
doesn't matter.
festivals. It's got to help.
It
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 all
doesn't
helps.
because the people that are also trying out for these things also have that.
But they don't have the
They
don't have this
touch.
magnetic. Yeah, they don't got Elaine Del Valle vibe. Shit.
I don't.
Listen, you're an impressive lady.
You know, I want to say that too, and I want to own it. But at the same time,
Well, say it now.
I do say it.
Shit.
I say it after my drink for sure. But also, I say it because, I say the latter because I understand how many awesome people that there are, and that they are younger, and ROI is a very big deal in this industry, and my age matters, and my color of my skin is not dark enough now, and all of these things are coming into play all of a sudden, and it's fine. It has to be fine. It has to be fine for the filmmaker, because if I'm going to let that make or break me, then I'm broken from the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it.
You
like,
are a
I'm going to do this
hustler
no matter what.
who has been through a hell of a lot. You got here. You have an amazing story. This is 10 years, 12 years, whatever the
My whole life in the making. It's
a
my
whole
life
life in the
story.
making. There's never been a better time to tell your story than right now. It's an important story to tell. I mean, you are an inspiring person, and
Don't put the pressure on me.
I have
Don't put that
no
pressure on
doubt
me.
in my mind that you're not going to raise every dime that you need and more. This film's going to get made. People are going to fucking love it. It's going to be where it needs to be.
I know I'm going to make it with every dime that I raise. Now, whether that's
coming.
all I need,
You're going to get a windfall of all of it. But I think what's fascinating a lot about your stories, there's so many parallels to like Chaz Palminteri in A Bronx Tale, which is like classic, right? And I think there's a lot of parallels to your film. But he did a one-man play, and he was. This is a fascinating story. He was broke at the time, and his play got so popular that studios were offering him in the late '80s $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, and he always had the caveat of like he wanted to launch his acting career, so he said, "I have to play in it," and they would all pull it away. So all that money, he's like, I was broke. And they were pulling it away. It wasn't until Robert De Niro was front row and came up to him and said, I want to make this film. And he had that like nervous, how he recalls it, the nervous energy of being like, well, I want to play Sonny. And he's like, I want you to play Sonny. I'll play the dad. Let me direct it. And the thing got made. And I think there's a lot of parallels to you. Like, and I know it's more important for you to launch your directing career from this. But, you know, there's something about living in a story like, I mean, especially because it's a life story for you, but living in a story for 10 years and that still having that passion to make it says something. This is an important story to tell.
Yeah.
Right? If you can sit through something for a decade and still feel as invigorated as you are today to doing it, that I think you'll be very successful. And I'm so excited for this film to be made.
Yes, me too.
And so,
Me too. Her too.
Alexa, stop. Elaine's not going to her meeting yet. All right. Real quickly, what advice would you give to aspiring directors that have a story that they have to tell?
Oh Lord.
What?
You know what? It's deciding what story you have to tell. Because as a director, as an artist, in every way, you're always being asked, especially in all of these applications, you're being asked, why are you the best person to tell this story? And I think that when a director finds that story that they are the best person to tell the story of, then they have found something that they are going to ride through it, because that's going to be their vehicle.
Right.
It's going to be their vehicle, and it's going to drive itself because it's driven from who they are at the core, their passions, and what they really want to, the statement that they want to make in the world. And that goes for actors, writers, directors, any artist, and I think any human being in the pursuit of purpose.
Well, listen, I wish you the best of luck. You're one of my favorite human beings.
Yay, thank you.
And you deserve this moment and many moments to come.
All right, so what's the next commercial I'm directing for right now?
I'm working on it right now. We might be traveling. Well, I got some travel series out there. Okay.
I got to be in Denver in May.
All right, deal.
Okay.
Madeline, thank you for these drinks.
Of course.
Thank you, Madeline.
And thank you, Brownsville Bred. Go see
Refills?
it.
Yes, well, you'll
Fucking
see it at the
amazing.
festival.
Give your money. Venmo me.
Pete, you want more?
Not him.
I do want more.
I know.
All right, Zux, send it to the internet.
Okay.